Look closely at this unassuming crystal. Its geometric perfection, its crystalline purity. It's a substance so fundamental, so ubiquitous, that we barely give it a second thought. From our kitchen tables to countless industrial processes, salt, or sodium chloride, is undeniably one of the most common compounds on Earth. It seasons our food, preserves our goods, and is a staple in every household across the globe. We open a packet, sprinkle a pinch, and scarcely register its profound history. This modern abundance, this casual availability, however, belies a past where salt was a strategic commodity, a precious resource that shaped civilizations and ignited conflicts. Today, the world extracts billions of tons annually, a testament to its seemingly infinite supply. Vast stretches of land transformed into shimmering salt flats, stretched to the horizon under the relentless sun. These immense man-made landscapes are monuments to our capacity for industrial-scale extraction, yielding white gold by the metric ton. Coastal plains become colossal evaporation ponds, where seawater, the ultimate saline reservoir, slowly retreats, leaving behind dazzling white deposits. Beneath ancient seabeds, massive subterranean salt mines, some reaching astonishing depths, house geological treasures forged over millennia. From these subterranean caverns, colossal machinery carves out the precious mineral, bringing it to the surface in quantities unfathomable to our ancestors.
Drill deep enough, and salt can be found in sedimentary layers almost everywhere on the planet. This ease of access, a hallmark of our modern era, is a very recent phenomenon in the grand sweep of human history. For millennia, obtaining salt was an arduous and often perilous endeavor. It was not merely a seasoning, it was a lifesaver, a preserver of sustenance, and a literal currency. The journey of salt from this abundant crystal to a world-shaping force is a captivating saga of human ingenuity, survival, and the relentless pursuit of an essential element. Join us as we uncover the hidden past of salt, the white gold that forged empires.
While today we take salt for granted, for our distant ancestors, this essential mineral was a lifeline, a desperately sought commodity whose scarcity shaped their very existence. Before the dawn of agriculture and long before industrial extraction, humans were acutely dependent on natural salt sources. Unlike many animals, humans sweat profusely, constantly depleting vital electrolytes, chief among them sodium. Without sufficient salt, muscle function falters, cognitive abilities decline, and ultimately survival is jeopardized. This profound physiological need drove early communities on arduous quests. Imagine a small band of hunter-gatherers, their bodies aching from days of tracking game, their minds focused on survival. They would observe animals, deer, bison, wild goats, instinctively drawn to salt licks, natural outcroppings rich in minerals. These locations became vital, often dangerous gathering points. Early humans learned to identify signs: mineral-rich soils, briny springs, or dried-up riverbeds where crystalline deposits shimmered after seasonal floods. Their methods were rudimentary but effective. Along coastlines, tidal pools would slowly evaporate under the sun, leaving behind precious crusts of sea salt, meticulously scraped and collected. Inland, during dry seasons,
communities would venture to ancient lake beds, now parched and gleaming white, carefully chipping away at the hardened layers of mineral.
This wasn't merely seasoning, it was sustenance, a crucial supplement to a diet often rich in lean meat but poor in sodium. The acquisition of salt was often communal, a perilous undertaking that demanded collective effort and vigilance against rival groups or predators. Access to a reliable salt source could mean the difference between life and widespread illness, between a thriving community and one struggling for existence. This ancient struggle for white gold wasn't about culinary delight, but fundamental human survival, a testament to the primal power of a simple crystal in shaping our earliest history. From the arduous quest for survival, salt dramatically shifted human history by enabling a revolutionary leap: the reliable preservation of food. This seemingly simple crystal, once a rare necessity, became the key to transcending seasonal scarcity, allowing communities to store sustenance for lean times and embark on longer journeys. The ability to cure meats and fish with salt liberated early civilizations from the immediate pressures of hunting and gathering, directly fueling the growth of stable settlements and, eventually, complex urban centers. Imagine the bustling docks of ancient Alexandria, where fishing boats laden with their catch arrived daily. Without refrigeration, vast quantities of fish would spoil rapidly. Here, skilled laborers meticulously gutted, cleaned, and heavily salted fish, layering them in barrels or drying them under the scorching sun. This process, known as curing, drew out moisture, inhibiting bacterial growth and rendering the fish edible for months, even years. These salted provisions were not just for local consumption. They became a cornerstone of Egyptian trade, transported far inland along the Nile. Similarly, in the heart of the Roman Empire, salt was indispensable. Legionnaires on campaign carried rations of salted pork or beef, ensuring a consistent food supply across vast distances, a logistical feat vital to Rome's expansion. Within city markets, butchers would meticulously rub joints of meat with coarse salt, transforming perishable goods into durable foodstuffs. From preserved olives and cheeses in briny solutions to cured hams hanging in cool cellars, salt was the silent guardian against famine, allowing agricultural surpluses to be managed and distributed efficiently. This mastery of preservation fundamentally reshaped human diet and migration patterns. No longer were populations solely tied to the immediate availability of fresh food. Salt allowed for diversified diets, sustained larger armies, and supported denser populations, laying the very groundwork for the organized societies and mighty empires that would define the ancient world. It was the white gold that turned mere existence into an enduring legacy. Beyond its revolutionary role in preserving food and sustaining burgeoning populations, salt's intrinsic value quickly elevated it from a vital commodity to a recognized medium of exchange, becoming, quite literally, currency. This white gold became a tangible representation of wealth and power, capable of purchasing goods, services, and even influencing the destinies of empires. In ancient Rome, soldiers were famously paid a portion of their wages in salt, the origin of the word salary, salarium. Imagine legionaries, after a hard-fought campaign, receiving carefully weighed bags or blocks of this precious mineral, its worth as undeniable as gold itself. This direct payment underscored its necessity and universal acceptance, making it a reliable store of value across vast territories where coinage might be scarce or mistrusted. But it was in the arid reaches of West Africa, across the immense Sahara Desert, that salt truly reigned as an unparalleled currency. From the great salt mines of Tagaza and Tagaza, vast caravan trails stretched for thousands of miles, laden with meticulously cut salt blocks. These weren't just goods. They were the very bedrock of the regional economy. In bustling marketplaces, a merchant wouldn't haggle for gold dust with textiles or spices alone. Often, a large block of salt, gleaming under the desert sun, was the preferred tender. These salt currency blocks, sometimes weighing many pounds, were exchanged for equal weights in gold, acting as a direct monetary equivalent. Kingdoms like Ghana and Mali grew immensely wealthy and powerful by controlling these vital salt sources and the trade routes that distributed them. Salt tax became a critical source of royal revenue, further solidifying its monetary status. From China, where salt coins were reportedly used, to highland regions of Ethiopia, where amole, salt bars, served as money, its universal demand and finite supply made it an ideal medium for trade, fostering intricate economic systems long before standardized coinage became widespread. This enduring legacy transformed salt from a simple crystal into the very lifeblood of ancient commerce and imperial ambitions.
The transformation of salt into mere commodity, into a global currency, necessitated its movement across vast distances, giving birth to intricate networks of trade that would shape civilizations. These salt roads were not just pathways for a mineral, they were arteries of cultural exchange, economic power, and imperial ambition, connecting disparate peoples and fostering unprecedented global interaction. Across the searing sands of the Sahara, the legendary trans-Saharan trade routes emerged, linking West African gold and salt mines with the Mediterranean world. Enormous camel caravans, often numbering thousands, traversed brutal terrains, guided by seasoned desert navigators. These were epic journeys, where meticulously carved salt blocks from Tagaza were exchanged for textiles, spices, and precious metals in bustling market cities like Timbuktu. Each oasis was a vital waypoint, a testament to human ingenuity in conquering nature for a precious resource. Further east, salt found its way along segments of the fabled Silk Road, being carried by traders alongside silk, tea, and porcelain, facilitating commerce between China, Central Asia, and Europe. This wasn't merely about sustenance. It was about the complex interplay of demand and supply, creating wealth and driving exploration. From the salt pans of the Mediterranean to the distant shores of India, maritime routes complemented land-based networks.
Roman galleys and dhows of the Indian Ocean plied treacherous waters, carrying amphorae of preserved fish and barrels of salt, connecting coastal communities and fueling urban growth. Great port cities like Venice, Genoa, and Alexandria
thrived as hubs where salt from various sources was collected, refined, and distributed throughout Europe and beyond. The control of these vital trade arteries often dictated the rise and fall of kingdoms. The Hanseatic League, for instance, gained immense power through its monopoly on herring and salt trade in northern Europe. These routes facilitated not only the movement of goods, but also the flow of ideas, technologies, and even diseases, profoundly impacting demographic shifts and cultural innovations. The global pursuit of this essential mineral carved pathways through wilderness and across oceans, forging connections that spanned continents and defined eras, forever altering the course of history. The global pursuit of this essential mineral carved pathways through wilderness and across oceans, forging connections that spanned continents and defined eras, forever altering the course of history. It was this very pursuit that laid the foundations for some of the greatest empires the world has ever known. Salt, often overlooked in modern times, was then the bedrock of geopolitical power. Its control dictated wealth, military might, and societal structure. From the dawn of civilization, the strategic importance of salt was recognized. In ancient China, the state salt monopoly, established as early as the Han Dynasty, provided immense revenue. This funded military campaigns and grand construction projects like sections of the Great Wall. This resource was an instrument of government, ensuring stability and projecting authority, consolidating a vast, centralized state. The wealth from salt solidified the emperor's power and fueled expansion. Moving westward, the Roman Empire built the Via Salaria, or Salt Road, to transport salt from the Adriatic Sea inland. Control over these vital supply lines was paramount, securing a steady source for its legions and burgeoning populace. Roman soldiers were famously paid in salt, a practice giving rise to the word salary, underscoring its intrinsic value and demonstrating its role in maintaining military readiness and imperial expansion. Underscoring its intrinsic value and demonstrating its role in maintaining military readiness and imperial expansion. Centuries later, powerful West African empires like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai rose through strategic command of trans-Saharan trade routes. They controlled salt from mines like Tagaza, exchanging it for gold. This lucrative trade fueled their economies, built grand cities, supported sophisticated administrative systems, and enabled them to project considerable influence, becoming centers of learning and wealth. Across medieval Europe, coastal cities and merchant leagues, such as the powerful Hanseatic League, leveraged their access to abundant sea salt and control of trade routes. Salt was crucial for preserving herring, a staple, allowing these entities to amass vast fortunes, construct formidable fleets, and shape regional politics. These empires, whether dynastic or mercantile, understood that mastery over salt was mastery over the levers of power, cementing their authority for generations. If salt was the bedrock of empires, it was also the spark for countless conflicts. Its immense value made it a prize worth fighting for, leading to brutal struggles over mines, crucial trade routes, and strategic control points. The very stability and wealth of nations often hinged on its supply. The lucrative salt-gold trade routes across the Sahara were fiercely contested.
Control of critical desert salt mines like Tagaza and key trade cities such as Timbuktu often led to clashes between rival West African empires like Mali and Songhai. These were full-scale campaigns waged for economic supremacy, defining regional power. Warriors clashed under a harsh desert sun, their empire's fate hinging on access to this white gold. In Europe, the struggle for salt was equally intense. The Venetian Republic, whose prosperity hinged on salt production and trade, frequently engaged in naval and land wars with rivals like Genoa. Control of salt pans in regions such as Chioggia became strategic objectives, leading to devastating sieges and battles that reshaped maritime power. Further north, Poland's vast Wieliczka salt mines were a constant temptation for invaders, contributing significantly to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth's wealth, becoming a flashpoint for territorial disputes. Even within nations, salt ignited conflicts.
France's infamous gabelle, a heavy salt tax, was a perpetual source of discontent and rebellion, occasionally escalating into violent uprisings where citizens fought against royal authority over this essential commodity. From desert strongholds to fortified coastal towns, the story of salt is punctuated by the clang of steel and the roar of cannons. It shaped not just economies, but the very geography of power, leaving a legacy of blood and ambition. The unassuming white crystal, so essential for life, proved to be an equally potent trigger for war. If salt control sparked wars, its taxation cemented power and filled imperial coffers. Rulers recognized salt's indispensable nature, transforming this basic necessity into an unparalleled source of state revenue. Monopolizing its production, distribution, and sale, empires exerted profound control over populations and amassed vast wealth, making salt a powerful instrument of governance. Ancient China pioneered state salt monopolies early as the 7th century BC. Dynasties meticulously managed salt production and trade, revenues funding grand infrastructure and military campaigns. Salt commissioners were powerful officials, their efficiency directly impacting imperial stability. This system endured over 2 millennia, showcasing salt's enduring power as an economic lever. In Europe, the practice was equally pervasive. The infamous French gabelle, a national salt tax from the 14th century, stands as a stark example. This unpopular tax mandated every citizen purchase salt annually at a crown-set price. The gabelle varied wildly, fostering a corrupt system burdening the poor. It fueled widespread smuggling, creating a criminal underworld and imposing brutal penalties. This demonstrated economic oppression, transforming a basic human need into a tool for imperial exploitation and breeding resentment. The universal requirement for salt meant these taxes impacted every household, from merchant to peasant. These examples illustrate how governments wielded salt not merely as a commodity, but as a direct pipeline to national prosperity and an inescapable form of control. The white gold, once a symbol of life and wealth, became a symbol of state authority. Its crystalline structure underwriting the power of kings and emperors, dictating the daily struggles of their subjects. The previous section highlighted how salt became a tool of state control and taxation. But what happens when an essential commodity, stripped of its natural availability and burdened by heavy levies, becomes a symbol of oppression? The answer, time and again, has been rebellion. When the humble salt crystal transforms from a necessity into a flashpoint for injustice, it has the power to ignite widespread civil disobedience and challenge the might of empires. Perhaps no event illustrates this more profoundly than Mahatma Gandhi's Salt March of 1930. British colonial rule in India maintained a brutal monopoly on salt production and imposed exorbitant taxes, effectively denying a basic right to millions of Indians and stifling their traditional livelihoods. This deeply unpopular policy, a clear symbol of imperial exploitation, became the perfect target for Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance, satyagraha. On March 12, 1930, Gandhi, then 61, embarked on a momentous 240-mile trek from his ashram in Ahmedabad, India, to the coastal village of Dundee. He was accompanied by a small group of followers, but as the march progressed, thousands joined, their ranks swelling with people from all walks of life. The journey itself was a powerful act of defiance, drawing international attention to the plight of India under British rule. Each step was a silent challenge to an unjust system. Upon reaching Dundee on April 6th, Gandhi famously bent down and picked up a lump of natural salt from the muddy shore, symbolically breaking the British salt law. This simple yet profoundly revolutionary act was a signal for millions across India to do the same. Factories were raided, salt pans seized, and makeshift salt was produced illegally, often under severe repression. Thousands were arrested, including Gandhi himself, but the movement had gained irreversible momentum. The Salt March was more than just a protest against a tax. It was a potent assertion of Indian sovereignty and self-determination. It exposed the moral bankruptcy of colonial rule and galvanized the independence movement, proving that even the most fundamental elements of daily life could become powerful instruments of change. The taste of rebellion in this instance was salty, bitter with injustice, yet ultimately sweet with the promise of freedom. The taste of rebellion in this instance was salty, bitter with injustice, yet ultimately sweet with the promise of freedom. From the searing deserts where it was once a precious currency, to the battlefields where empires clashed for its control, salt has carved an indelible mark on human history. It fueled economies, shaped cultures, and sparked revolutions, acting as a silent, powerful architect of civilization. Yet today, as we walk through the brightly lit aisles of our supermarkets, surrounded by an endless array of packaged goods, salt often goes unnoticed. We find it in countless forms: iodized, sea salt, Himalayan pink, kosher, flaked, and ground. It's an inexpensive staple, bought without a second thought, a mere seasoning, rather than a life-sustaining commodity or a symbol of political oppression. The idea of salt being a luxury, a cause for war, or the catalyst for a nationwide protest feels utterly alien in our modern world of abundance. Its journey from being white gold to a common crystal on every kitchen counter is a testament to technological advancement, global trade, and sophisticated supply chains. The historical significance of salt, so profound and pervasive, is now largely forgotten, overshadowed by its sheer availability.
We sprinkle it carelessly on our food, rarely pausing to consider the vast human narratives woven around this simple mineral. Its story is one of survival, empire, conflict, and freedom, a saga etched into the very fabric of human progress. It reminds us that even the most ordinary elements of our daily lives can hold extraordinary tales, shaping destinies and altering the course of history in ways we often fail to appreciate. So the next time you reach for the salt shaker, perhaps take a moment. Reflect on its monumental journey from scarcity to ubiquity, from a prized possession to a readily available seasoning. Reflect on its immense power it once wielded, the empires it built, the wars it sparked, and the rebellions it ignited. For in that humble crystal lies a profound reminder of our shared past, a hidden history whispered from the depths of time, urging us to look beyond the mundane and recognize the extraordinary in the everyday.